Hey everybody, and welcome to another JASP video. This video is our last Learn Stats mini-series video. Yep, we're going to be doing the last function of this Learn Stats module. We're going to be doing statistical test decision tree. And I got to say, it's a very quick video for the type of information that it offers, so you won't be here for very long. All right, to get Learn Stats module, first you got to add it to your top bar here by checking that button. It's all in alphabetical order, and you can scroll with it. That's pretty cool. At the Learn Stats module, you need to get yourself JASP 0.18.1, and then you can play around with it. The module is still technically kind of in beta. I really hope they add more to it because there is a lot more in stats to do, and maybe they'll explain, maybe they'll do t-tests, maybe they'll do ANOVAs, maybe they'll do regression. Oh, that'll be so fun. But until then, we are left with these lovely 10 module or sub-modules, whatever you want to call them, functions, blah, blah, blah. So let's jump into statistical test decision tree. Statistical test decision tree is fairly simple. All it does is it gives you the test choice based on your answers, and then you follow this flow chart. Now, I'm going to leave the flow. I know I have to scroll for the flow chart, but I'm going to leave it the same size because the text doesn't really do a very good job when you resize it. You can resize it, but I'm not gonna. And so the flow chart follows a typical kind of decision tree flow chart making, right? So first you start with how many variables do you have? 1 or 2 or more, right? And then of course 2 or more leaves you with a smaller set of options, right? Because 2 or more is the amount of outcome variables, dependent variables if you prefer, right? And so by default, it will always open. You can also uncheck to show full decision tree, and it will only give you the test choice. So if you want to just spit it out already. But I'm going to show the full decision tree just because, I can. Right? And so by default, it will ask you for how many outcome variables. These are dichotomous choice. What type of outcome? Is it continuous or categorical? Again, dichotomous choice. How many predictor variables? 1, 2, or more. Dichotomous choice. What type of predictor? Continuous, categorical, or sometimes we may be given the option of both, depending on what our questions and answers are for the beginning, the first 3. How many categories in predictor variables? 2, more than 2. Dichotomous choice. Same or different entities in categories of predictors. Now, this is a very weird way of saying, are you measuring your subjects more than once? That's it. Are you repeating the measurement? Yes or no? And then you say same or different. Okay. And then are the assumptions for a parametric test. So there you go. That's it. That's how we do it. And then parametric and non-parametric tests are my 2 alternatives, right? So let's take a look at when we do the options or when we open it. When we open it and for the first time and we're looking at it and we're like, what are we going to do? Well, it gives you the independent t-test or point by serial correlation, depending on what it is that you are doing, right? Independent samples t-test and point by serial correlations are very similar in how they do that. Now, if I say assumptions not met for this particular one, what's going to happen is it's going to bypass telling me about independent samples t-test, and it's going to say, you got to do a bootstrap t-test, 1,000 iterations of the independent t-test, or do a Man-Whitney U test. So that's how you get that. And of course, if I do that, test choice will be up here. But let's just say I have 2 or more variables, outcome variables, DVs, right? So it's going to skip this whole big tree, and it's going to give me, especially if things are left how they are, it's going to say MANOVA because assumptions are not met. And it's just going to say MANOVA here. It doesn't really matter for these. There are no non-parametric alternatives in JASP for many of these, the logistic regressions, the log linear analyses, that kind of thing. And MANOVA, you have to have a continuous variable, basically. So, what are you going to do? Continuous, yeah. It's the only option. You cannot choose categorical, okay? Otherwise, you can only do an analysis on one of the outcome variables at a time, which brings you back up to this tree, which would then bring you to, the logistic and log linear analyses there, right? So you could go through and you can, what type of outcome? Well, categorical is, excuse you, thank you. Right? So Pearson chi-square or likelihood ratio if we have 1 predictor variable. What if we have 2? Well, then you're going to do a log linear analysis if your predictor is categorical as well. Or I'm going to do both. It's going to ask me for logistic regression. It's going to say do logistic regression. And this is just logistic regression number 2, I guess, is how they've had it. It's just going to be logistic regression. Or I can just do logistic regression number 1 by saying continuous predictors, all of that kind of stuff. Let's say we have continuous outcomes, okay? And we've got 2 or more. Okay, well, what's my continuous? Oh, then just do multiple regression. Well, if assumptions aren't met, then do it 1,000 times, bootstrap multiple regression. So very easy to manipulate how you do this. You just got to know the lingo here. Again, it's written by Europeans, so a little bit, they're trying to be global as far as an English audience is concerned. I don't know what these questions look like for other languages, but they are using English terms that are recognizable to them, which is why the how many categories and predictors and same and different entities aren't usually what undergraduate students or teachers are using for these particular cases, right? For these particular questions. So as long as you recognize that, or if you're a teacher, you tell your students that, then I think you're all good at using this or having your students use this in a more useful way than being like, what are you doing again? Oh, okay, I think you should do an independent samples t-test. Oh, okay, wait, hold on. Your DV and your IV is categorical. So, you know what? It's gonna be a chi-square test, right? And we gotta do that. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Okay, so this is not, the other thing that I want to mention, this is not a fully formed decision tree. But even if we did, how many outcome variables? 1, is it categorical? How many predictor variables? 1, that's categorical, and they have to be different, right? Pearson chi-square or likelihood ratio, this would be the chi-square test that you're familiar with, right? So this would be a test of independence, if that is the case. And you won't get goodness of fit on here either. There will be no like goodness of fit. Maybe you do a point by serial correlation or something like that, but this is giving you the chi-square. Alrighty, that is the statistical test decision tree through the Learn Stats module in JASP 0.18.1. If you have any comments, suggestions, questions, or other feedback, please leave those in the comment section down below. I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.